Yo, it's me, NT, and this is my breakdown of the first two episodes of Twisted Metal, the Peacock original adaptation of the classic car combat games by the makers of Deadpool and Zombieland, and is also a game franchise a lot of people, including myself, have very good memories with. They gave us 10 30-minute episodes filled with action and comedy, and there's a lot of details to cover throughout the series. Now, of course, there will be spoilers if you haven't seen the first two episodes yet, or if you haven't played much of the game, since this is an adaptation after all. And how I'm gonna do this is break down these first two episodes first, 3 to 5 in the next video, then 6 to 8, and I'll finish it off with
Pause.
the last two episodes and a season review. Alright, so subscribe if you're new, and without further ado, let's get to it! So the first episode starts off with Roadkill, played by Anthony Mackie, telling us that the world went to shit 20 years ago because of some bug or virus, knocking out all of the computers, power grids, and internet in the world, leaving behind mostly cars and guns. Because of that and the loss of porn apparently, everyone in the cities went crazy. So to counteract that, the cities built walls to protect themselves and let the killers, bandits, and humble motherfuckers like him roam the streets. It then cuts to John being chased down by two unnamed drivers in an abandoned mall, one of them resembling Warthog from the games. And I gotta admit, it's pretty epic. The soundtrack being used in the scene sounds just like the bedroom level from Twisted Metal 4. And John goes through the mall looking for a pair of shoes while simultaneously weaving all of the gunfire. The cars are firing weapons resembling the homing missile from the games, looking a lot like how they did in Twisted Metal 2012, and an actual copy of the original Twisted Metal game that came out in 1995 appears on his windshield, and he wipes it off with him looking confused. He gets out of the mall alive, and it shows the Twisted Metal logo in such a campy way, which I kinda like a lot actually. He pulls up to a local city to drop off and pick up a package to bring to another city. He starts clowning the soldier that's new to his job, and then he goes on his merry way. It cuts to a montage of him going from city to city, delivering miscellaneous packages with people trying to steal from him at every turn. He tells us that this is just the life that he's used to now.
Boy, if you don't...
And he's been doing this for years and years on end. During the montage is when John and Quiet meet for the very first time, but they flick each other off and they go their separate ways. He then pulls up to another city called New San Francisco, where he delivers something and gets gifted a new pistol. The guard at the gate gets an order from the COO, which is second in command by the way, I had no idea that was a thing, to bring Roadkill into the city to talk, which is something that's never happened to him before. They make him strip and they take his weapons, and he finally meets with the COO herself, Raven. She made her debut in Twisted Metal Black, and her wish in that game was to avenge the death of her best friend Kelly. The same Kelly that the bar they met up in is named after. He arranged the meeting in order to hire him to pick up a certain mysterious package of great importance to bring back to San Fran, and chose him because out of all of the milkmen, he's the one person that survived the longest and is the most consistent, which shows his reliability. He asks her, "What's the catch?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, that package is in New Chicago," which is one of, if not the most dangerous city districts in the entire world. And he only has 10 days to complete the job. John tries to leave, but she convinces him by showing him her home and her family, telling him that life in the city is like living the American dream, filled with consistent food, shelter, and love. And if he managed to complete the job, she would make him a citizen there, which is everything he always wanted because he's tired of his life right now. He accepts her offer and is given a stopwatch counting down the time he has to complete the job. After he leaves though, we see that Raven isn't really what she seems, and is definitely not to be trusted.
Bye! Get it back to its mother. Ugh. Your payments in your apartment. I'm done with him. Ugh.
It then cuts to Agent Stone, a character from Twisted Metal Black that has a very similar Justice is Black and White kind of personality that he had in that game as well, but he's sporting the same kind of police uniform the previous drivers of his car Outlaw wore in Twisted Metal 3 and Head On. Which, if you don't play the games, you have to know that there's not really like any main protagonists in Twisted Metal. Like, there are very significant people in the game, yeah, but if anything, the cars are more of the protagonists, and the drivers are just people that cycle through those cars. It's weird, but it's just how it is. You know, it is what it is. Next to him is Agent Shepard, the driver of Crimson Fury from Twisted Metal Head On. And fun fact, normally Agent Stone is Crimson Fury in the game, so it's pretty cool how they're always paired up in the show. Stone accuses them of being lovers and orders one of them to kill themselves, or he'll napalm the both of them. Napalm being a weapon from all of the games. Loud then decides to sacrifice himself for his sister, so she can be let go. Which they do after they brand her so others will know about his influence. He also gives her a bullet to remind her of her fallen brother. Roadkill goes to a friend's house to buy a map in order to get to New Chicago. He leaves and Quiet tries to steal the first car she sees on the road, which so happens to be Roadkill. He stops him and things get heated between the two of them until he sees Sweet Tooth driving towards them two, with a song that sounds just like the South Central level from Twisted Metal 4.
We don't have time for this, so how about you tell your partner to come out from where he's hiding? Okay.
The second episode begins and he convinces her to kill Sweet Tooth together. But then they run out of ammo and he's like, oh man, this never happens. Golly. And she dips with his car, with him leaping in at the lick of time. Quiet has a hard time driving stick, so they switch, and he inputs a cheat code to make his car fast again, with that code being just one button short of the invincibility cheat code from Twisted Metal 2. Sweet Tooth asks if they're coming to a show, and Roadkill accepts, and then shoots him. Which, yeah, I would do that too. Like I'm not coming to your show, what? ST shoots out their tire and they bust into a nearby casino. It then cuts to Mike and Stu, which is really cool. Like it just cuts to them chilling. We really get the sense that they've known each other for years, and I love that. They just are in terrible circumstances right now because they're about to get eaten by cannibals. One of them proceeds to put lemon pepper on them until they get rescued by Agent Stone and his crew. Mike and Stu debuted in the second Twisted Metal game and are just two best friends that entered the tournament only to wish for the power to fly. They get rescued and recruited by Agent Stone, and though Stu is reluctant, they both accept his offer. Sweet Tooth corners Roadkill and Quiet into the casino, and they form an unlikely friendship over the love of thongs, which hey, you know, Agent Stone shows Mike and Stu the perks of being a soldier and makes them go through an initiation in order to join their cause. Stu finds out that just like Raven, them two aren't really the good guys they claim to be, because the initiation is them killing two innocent survivors just because Stone assumes that since they're outside of the walls, they're criminals. Mike kills them with no hesitation, and Stu is shocked to see that his best friend actually did that. Time goes on and he starts to notice that his best friend is starting to change for the worse. ST and John talks about nicknames and their past. He tells ST that he has amnesia, and the first thing he remembers is waking up in his car with blood coming out of his head. Sweet Tooth then relates to him by telling him that something similar happened to him as well, but it was when he was first coming out of his mom's womb. That's when Sweet Tooth reveals that he can remember everything he's seen, heard, or done in his life. Everything. And that has to be one of the most creepiest and coolest things this dude has ever said. Holy crap. Anyways, he invites him into his room and sheds more light about himself, and about how before the world went crazy he was in jail, and he stayed at Vegas alone for 20 years because it reminded him of his time before everything went out. He then introduces his best friend and my favorite person so far, Harold. A freaking plastic bag, which might be crazy to like a normal person, but it's actually an awesome callback to the first Twisted Metal game, when he wished for a plastic bag after he won the tournament.
Look, I'm a bit confused, Mr. Kane. You do understand, by winning High Octane, you are entitled to any request of any value. And yet, you ask me for this? Oh man, give me that! Give me a paper bag.
John then relates to him by talking about his car Evelyn, saying that it's his best friend and he loves to hear her laugh. Which is a really odd thing to say about a car though, right? So I'm pretty sure his memories are starting to come back a little bit and he's talking about a certain person with that same name. But I'm sure that'll be revealed later on. Sweet Tooth treats John and Quiet to a nice dinner before the show. And while they eat, they finally decide to join forces in order to not get killed. The show starts and honestly, it's not what I expected at all, man. Like bro, I was thinking it was gonna be like a motorcycle show, but nope. Dude did a whole hotel commercial where he's impersonating a woman named Deborah. Freaking Deborah. But he was really selling the heck out of the hotel they were in. Like, he could really be on a commercial, low-key. And after it's all said and done, all he wanted in return was honest criticism, which Quiet gives him in the most unapologetic way possible. Sweet Tooth is amazed by how honest she was, and John agrees after originally trying to just agree with Sweet Tooth so he could leave. ST lets him go with a newfound respect for them two because out of everyone he showed his performance to, them two were the only people that were honest with him. They leave and John then decides to call her Quiet because she didn't want to talk whenever he asked for her name. And Sweet Tooth decides to take his show on the road and explore as well, burning his home down in the process so there's no way he can come back. A lot like Ed and Al did in Full Metal Alchemist. At the end, them two pull up to an unmarked checkpoint guarded by Mike, Stu, and Agent Shepard. Quiet notices that one of them is one of the people that caused his brother's murder and tries to kill him on the spot. And because of that, they both get tased and captured. And that marks the end of episode 2. First impressions, I gotta admit, this is a lot better than I thought. Like, normally video game adaptations are trash, but this is not. This is pretty good. Like, I like most of the jokes that they're using in the show, especially this one.
This time it's loaded. 6 bullets, each with your name on it. Dude, get out of my car right now.
That said, I'm willing to negotiate.
I really like how goofy and dumb it is, but at the same time, like, it has some real moments in there. Like when Raven was showing John around the city, you could really tell that that's what John really wants. And I'm honestly not really mad that there's not any supernatural stuff in the show yet. Maybe there will be in the future, but so far, there's so much love just in these first 2 episodes that it's like, I didn't really hate on it at first, but I don't really see how someone can hate on it, really. Unless it gets worse in the later episodes. I don't know yet, I haven't even seen them yet. But so far, it's really good to me. The characters are interesting, like Mike and Stu are great. I really like them too so far, and I really wonder what's gonna happen between them two in the upcoming episodes. Roadkill is completely different from how he is in the games, like completely different, and I'm okay with that. Agent Stone is trash though, like not the actor, I like the actor, but him in the show is poo. This dude, I just don't like people like him, bro, like, look at me, I'm a big cop guy, and everything isn't black and white, it's black and blue. Like, boy, if you don't... And the very last person, freaking Sweet Tooth, bro, like, I gotta admit, he's pretty legit. I'm not gonna lie, at first, I wasn't feeling him, like, all the one-liners he was doing, he was like, it was just too much for me. I was like, what are you doing, my guy, you know? But that plastic bag made me realize the error of my ways. That's a callback that only the OG fans know about, and I love that they showed that. I really like the vehicles in this as well, and it answered one of my questions that I had in the previous video that I made. There, I asked, who is the driver of Shadow? Because Raven's right here. You know what I mean? Is that her driving, or is that Mortimer? I didn't even see Mortimer in there. But turns out it's Quiet and Loud. And it's safe to say that Shadow's out of commission for now, so it is what it is. Yeah, the scenes with them battling reminded me a lot of the games. The soundtrack used is a lot like the games, and I love that. And I'm really curious to see what all Raven has under her sleeve. Like, what's up with her, bro? Like, is she actually gonna be Calypso? Or is she answering to somebody? Because I'm holding out hope for Calypso, bro. I don't care what anybody says. Okay, that's a lie. I do care, but I am holding out hope for Calypso, and that's that, bro. So who's her boss? And is it like that in every city? Like, does every city have a COO that answers to that same CEO? That doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. I just want Calypso. Don't judge me. I'm just really curious to see how this is gonna turn out. And yeah, I gotta end this now so I can get to the next ones. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.